The bison played an important part in Indian culture. It provided them with food, clothing, and even materials for their tepees, their famous tent houses. Every year after abandoning their winter quarters, the Indians sent out scouts to look for the bison. Once they had been found, the tribe moved to this area, and after carrying out ceremonies so that the spirits would make the mission a success, they prepared for the hunt. Everything changed when the white man arrived. The totally unscrupulous settlers hunted the bison indiscriminately. The railway magnates of the North Pacific saw this as the way to get rid of the Indians that opposed the railway. Huge slaughter took place. The businessmen achieved their objective, but the massacre did not stop there. Killing bison had become a very profitable fashion. In the railway's publicity leaflets, passengers were offered the possibility of hunting bison without even leaving their seats in the train. The slaughter continued for almost a century. During the most intensive period, the dead bison were just abandoned and not even their tongues, which were considered a great delicacy, were collected. There were so many corpses littering the prairies that businesses were created to retrieve the bones to make fertilizers. When Alvar Núñez Cabeza de Vaca made this drawing in the middle of the 16th century, the North American bison population was over 70 million strong. By the end of the 19th century, only a few hundred remained scattered around. In 1920, there were 50 bison left in Yellowstone. Only then did people realize that the species had to be protected. Today, there are over 3,500. In the middle of July, the mating season begins. In contrast to other herbivores, the bison do not group harems together. When a male detects a female on heat, he begins to follow her and wait for the right moment. Each female is only receptive for 24 hours, so the male cannot let her out of his sight. If he does not mount her in this time, he will lose his chance until the following year. Any male may participate in the procreation process, but those under 4 years of age have little chance. They are too weak to take on older rivals in a dispute over a female. Also, they are socially inferior to the females, so they are unlikely to be accepted as mates. After the mating season, the group separate and life returns to normal. The bison graze at dawn and dusk and spend the middle of the day resting, ruminating, and having baths of earth. In the time of the great herds, hundreds of bison could be running about at the same time. They kicked up so much dust that on some occasions these dust baths were mistaken for forest fires. The birth of the young does not happen until the following spring after 9 months gestation. The females leave the group and give birth to a single infant. After half an hour it is able to stand, and after a few hours it can walk. A few days later, both of them rejoin the herd. The characteristic hump and horns do not develop until they are 2 months old. During this time, the mother continues feeding the infant, which will not be weaned until the end of the summer. The youngster stays with its mother until it reaches sexual maturity. Then it must leave the group and join the males.